What if an interstellar object whirling through our solar system is actually a nuclear-powered spacecraft sent by aliens to test how humans respond?
On a day that started like any other, alarms blared inside NASA's Deep Space Network. An object from another star system, 3I Atlas, did the impossible.
If it's a technological object, then it might maneuver itself.
It shot a concentrated beam of energy straight into the heart of our sun. Now, a silent panic is spreading through the world's space agencies. This wasn't a natural event. The object's path was too perfect, its composition too strange, and its final act too deliberate. To put it mildly, this was a cosmic shot across the bow, and we have to ask, who or what just sent us this message? A visitor. Unlike any other. The darkness between the stars is vast, cold, and silent. For all of human history, we have stared into it, wondering what lies beyond our own small neighborhood. But not all things are what they seem. Sometimes the darkness sends something back. It started with a faint blip on a screen at the Atlas survey in Hawaii, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. Astronomers there are used to finding new rocks floating in space. Most are familiar, predictable neighbors. But this one was different. Its speed was staggering, far too fast to be captured by our sun's gravity. It was a tourist, a traveler from another star system, and it was given the name 3I Atlas. At first, it was a cause for celebration. This was only the third interstellar object ever detected. But the more scientists looked, the less sense it made. The thing nobody tells you is that the initial excitement quickly turned to quiet concern. For starters, this thing was a giant. Its diameter was estimated to be over 3 miles wide, making it 1,000,000 times more massive than the first interstellar visitor, Oumuamua. Its mass was calculated at a mind-boggling 33 billion tons. This wasn't a pebble. It was a mountain hurtling through our home. Then came the really weird parts. As it got closer to the sun, telescopes like Hubble turned to get a better look. Comets are supposed to be made mostly of water ice, which creates a beautiful tail of gas as the sun heats it. But 3I Atlas was different. Its plume contained mostly carbon dioxide, and strangest of all, it had far more nickel than iron. You can see this kind of nickel-to-iron ratio in industrial alloys here on Earth, but it's almost unheard of in nature. Even more bizarre was the jet. Comets have jets that spray away from the sun, pushed by solar wind. But Hubble images showed a narrow, focused jet coming from 3I Atlas that was pointing towards the sun. It was 10 times longer than it was wide, a detail that baffled every astrophysicist who saw it. It was like seeing a ship's sail pushing against the wind. What many overlooked in their excitement was that these anomalies were stacking up, painting a picture of something that wasn't playing by the rules of nature. The tension was building as the object headed for its closest approach to the sun, scheduled for late October. Every radio dish and space telescope was pointed its way, waiting to see what this cosmic weirdo would do next. No one, not in their wildest dreams, could have predicted what was about to happen. Inside control rooms at NASA and the European Space Agency, the data streams from 3I Atlas were being watched by the second. On October 29th, as the object reached its closest point to our star, a distance of about 125 million miles, the unthinkable happened. The strange jet pointing toward the sun suddenly intensified, its brightness increasing 1,000-fold. But it wasn't a messy, chaotic explosion of gas. Instead, it became a perfectly straight, coherent beam of energy. For a few terrifying minutes, this interstellar mountain shot a focused, laser-like beam directly into the surface of the sun. Alarms began screaming. Scientists stared at their monitors, their faces pale with disbelief. This was impossible. It defied physics. It defied logic. This wasn't an observation. It was an event. And in the silent, sterile rooms of our planet's greatest space agencies, a single, terrifying thought began to ripple through the minds of everyone watching. Panic. They had detected a cosmic visitor, but now they feared they had found a weapon. A message or a weapon. In the chaotic hours after 3I Atlas fired its beam at the sun, a frantic search for answers began. The object itself, its strange task complete, continued on its path, destined to leave our solar system and never return. But it left behind a mystery so profound, it threatened to upend everything we know. To put it mildly, the beam itself was just the final clue. The real evidence lay in the journey 3I Atlas had taken to get here. When analysts began backtracking its trajectory, the weird coincidences turned into chillingly perfect calculations. You see, for an object coming from another star, space is a three-dimensional ocean. It could have entered our solar system from any direction, from above, below, or any angle in between. Yet, 3I Atlas arrived on a path that was almost perfectly aligned with the ecliptic plane. That's the flat disk where all the planets, including Earth, orbit the Sun. The odds of this happening by chance are incredibly small, about 0.2%. It's like throwing a dart from a mile away and hitting the thin edge of a coin. But that was just the start. Many people are crazy about finding patterns in the stars, but this was different. The timing of its arrival was, for lack of a better word, perfect. Its path was set to take it for close flybys of Mars, Venus, and even Jupiter, almost like a guided tour of our inner solar system. The probability of a random object having a trajectory that was so optimized for planetary encounters was calculated to be around 0.005%. It was as if the object wasn't just passing through, but was on a reconnaissance mission. The most shocking fact, however, was still buried in the data, a ghost from our own past. Someone on the team decided to check the arrival direction, the spot in the sky 3I Atlas had come from. When they cross-referenced it with historical astronomical data, a gasp went through the room. The object's origin point in the sky was aligned to within 9 degrees with the location of the famous WOW signal. For those who don't know, the WOW signal was a powerful, narrow-band radio signal detected on August 15, 1977, that appeared to be a transmission from an intelligent source. It lasted for 72 seconds and was never heard again. It remains the single strongest candidate for an alien message ever received. And now, decades later, a physical object of unbelievable size and power had arrived from that exact same patch of sky and performed an impossible act. The debate raging in secret was no longer about a strange comet. It was about an intelligently guided probe. Was the beam a message? An attack? A power-up for the sun? The WOW signal alignment suggested a connection, a follow-up to a message sent long ago. Perhaps the signal was a greeting, and 3I Atlas was the delivery. Maybe the beam was designed to input information into our star or to trigger something within it. The possibilities were all terrifying. An object with a mass of 33 billion tons, traveling on a path that defied probability, coming from the source of our most famous potential alien signal, and firing a concentrated energy beam into our sun. This was not a chain of coincidences. This was a plan. The question was no longer, are we alone? But, what do they want with our sun? The aftermath in the heavens. The silence from NASA and other space agencies was deafening. While the world remained unaware, a new and more terrifying chapter of the 3I Atlas event was unfolding. The object was now speeding away, but its parting gift to our solar system was beginning to activate. The sun was not okay. In the days and weeks after being struck by the mysterious beam, our star began to behave in ways no solar physicist had ever seen. The energy from the beam didn't just dissipate, it seemed to have planted a seed of chaos deep within the sun's core. Scientists who monitor the sun are used to seeing solar flares and coronal mass ejections. These are violent but generally understood phenomena. But what they saw now was different. They started calling them resonance flares. Unlike normal flares that erupt from random sunspots, these new flares were all originating from the exact point of impact where the beam from 3I Atlas had struck. What's more, they were pulsing with a strange regularity, almost like a heartbeat. The energy signature of these flares was also off the charts, containing exotic particles that solar models couldn't account for. The sun, our calm, life-giving star, was acting like it was infected. What many overlooked at first was the direction of these new flares. Normal solar eruptions spray energy out in a wide cone. But these resonance flares were strangely focused, almost channeled, and with a growing horror, scientists realized they seemed to be targeting the planets. One flare, narrowly missing Earth, washed over a research satellite, frying its circuits instantly despite its heavy shielding. Another pulse seemed to track the orbit of Jupiter. It was as if the sun was no longer a natural star, but a weapon that had just been armed and was now aiming at targets in its own system. The thing nobody tells you is how fragile our modern world is. A major solar event could collapse the entire global power grid, disable every satellite in orbit, and send us back to the dark ages in an instant. We have systems in place to predict and prepare for natural solar storms. But this was not natural. The sun's behavior was now completely unpredictable. The heartbeat of the resonance flares was speeding up, the energy output growing with each pulse. It was a ticking time bomb 93 million miles away. The beam from 3I Atlas hadn't been an attack on the sun, it was an activation. The object had turned our own star into a threat against us. You can see this everywhere in fiction, the idea of turning a strength into a weakness. But this was real. The Trojan horse hadn't been the object itself. The Trojan horse was the new, terrifying power it had unleashed within our sun. The object was gone, but it left behind a star that was turning against us, a secret too big to share. So, if all of this really happened, why haven't you seen it on the news? Why aren't world leaders holding emergency press conferences? This is where the story comes down from the cosmos and lands squarely on our planet, right here, right now. The panic at NASA wasn't just about a strange object or an angry sun. It was about you. It was about the 7 billion people on this planet and the fear of what would happen if they learned the truth. Are we missing a key detail? The thing is, the decision was likely made within hours of the event. This information had to be contained. Think about it. The revelation that an intelligent, powerful, and completely unknown force can reach into our solar system and tamper with our sun would cause unimaginable chaos. Financial markets would collapse overnight. Fear and paranoia would spread faster than any disease. The entire structure of our society is built on a sense of predictability and control. What happens when we learn that we have neither? The truth is a secret too big to share because we are simply not ready for it. The NASA PANICS part of the story isn't about scientists running down halls screaming. It's about a cold, calculated panic. A desperate, quiet effort to understand what's happening while preventing global hysteria. Many people watching this are probably wondering, is this true? Did this happen overnight? The evidence, the anomalies of 3I Atlas, the alignment with the WOW signal, these are based on real scientific puzzles. The beam and the sun's response are the parts of the story where we have to connect the dots and ask what they could be hiding. Governments have a long history of hiding things for our own good. You can see this everywhere, from classified military technology to hidden historical records. Information is controlled. A truth this monumental wouldn't just be a news story, it would be a trigger for the end of the world as we know it. So, what is the plan? It's a question that has already been answered in silent, windowless rooms. Behind the scenes, a global vigil is underway as every major radio telescope strains to catch a follow-up message, a whisper from the void. Every defense agency is running frantic simulations, wargaming scenarios for a threat they cannot define against an enemy whose physics are unknown. They are not just looking for answers, they are building an impenetrable wall of silence. The raw data from Hubble and other deep space observatories is being classified, buried under layers of national security protocols. The scientists involved, silenced by gag orders, are becoming the unwilling custodians of humanity's greatest secret. For the public, the official story will be a minor, unusual comet that broke up near the sun, a footnote in an academic journal. And so, we will all go on with our lives, never knowing that we are living on a timer, under a star that has been changed, waiting for the next move in a game we didn't even know we were playing. What if this wasn't an attack, but an activation signal? What do you think they turned on? Let us know below. And if you want to uncover more truths, don't forget to like and subscribe.